the criminal justice system, the people,
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care.
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Well, as mentioned by Kim, the Supreme Court will decide on whether a looming ban on TikTok in the U.S. violates the First Amendment. The High Court put the case on an unusually accelerated timeline. They're going to hear arguments on January 10th, and the reason for that, of course, is because 9 days later, there is a law that is slated to take effect that would ban TikTok from this country. And it would force, essentially, ByteDance, the Chinese company, it would force them to sell it. So TikTok, I think, is not going to go away, as I've told you before. What will likely happen is, A, it will continue as it is, or B, it will be into a forced ownership, and someone in the U.S., an entity in the U.S., a consortium of investors in the U.S. will buy TikTok, that part that's essentially turned over by ByteDance. That's a great deal for a handful of investors who are already circling, because they're going to get it at a forced sale price, right? You're not in a situation, if you're TikTok, to get top dollar. You're going to have to sell it. You're basically selling it at gunpoint. And so there already have been many American business people who have expressed interest in this, among them Jared Kushner. So that is what's happening with the High Court and with TikTok. Meantime,
Jared Kushner wants to buy TikTok?
Yeah, he does.
Wow.
No, it's crazy. I mean, he's sitting on that $2 billion in Saudi cash. So
Sure. Got to spend it somewhere.
Yeah. These stories happen every Christmas and Chinooka season. Criminals couldn't steal the holiday spirit, but they did steal that which this guy, who's known as the Hood Santa of Long Beach, does every year. He brings countless underprivileged kids toys and greetings of the holidays. But Saturday night, a music festival was held at the Belasco Theater in downtown Los Angeles. Attendees required to donate a toy valued at $20 or more, and the toys were all placed inside a large U-Haul truck in front of the theater. But later that night, thieves struck. The guy who was watching the truck, listen to this. This is like that jewel thief thing that happened. Remember the jewel thieves? One guy goes in, the other guy falls asleep, and then these jewel thieves move in, and then they just ransack all the jewels from that truck. Well, this case, the guy who was watching the truck that was now filled with toys went to get some coffee. When he came back, he noticed that the truck had been broken into, said Tito Rodriguez, who is the Hood Santa. They tried to steal the truck. When they failed at that, they broke the back of the roll-up door, cut it with some bolt cutters, and wiped us out. They took took about half the toys.
What the hell is going on in the United States of America?
It's
That
not.
would take some time to steal all that stuff. That's a lot of toys.
Yeah, and why do it? I mean,
they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it
why
for.
you'd ever. I don't know. I don't
Where's
get it.
that drop? Someone's looking to spoil our Christmas.
Yeah, where is the Christmas drop? That's the.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
Thank you for that. That's exactly right. Well, also, there is this. Hannah Kobayashi speaking out after her month-long disappearance. The Hawaii woman, 30 years old, back in the U.S., she's spoken out after her mysterious month-long disappearance from LAX that made national headlines. Albert, were you bothered by the fact that Hannah Kobayashi was missing for that length of time? Seems like the kind of thing that you might actually be disturbed by.
It was a really interesting story because her dad went to go look for her too, and then he somehow died in that process while she was missing, and then she just comes back like nothing. And it's just, there's a lot that hasn't been uncovered yet. So
Exactly. I think Albert is right. The story is one that we only know a little bit about. At daybreak on December 15th, she said, I crossed the border back into the United States. My focus now is on my healing, my peace, and my creativity. I am deeply grateful to my family and everyone who has shown me kindness and compassion during this time. The leads in this case, after she went missing on November 8th, pointed to a camera footage series of her at the Grove retail complex in Los Angeles, a sighting with an unknown man at a train station, and then a series of cryptic texts sent to family members. So during this search, as Kim was saying, her dad, Ryan, died by suicide after searching for her for 13 days in L.A. About 3 weeks into the search, LAPD reported that she was seen crossing the Mexico border and was subsequently declared voluntary missing. Then on December 11th, she was found after nearly 5 weeks and was with her aunt, with whom other family members had cut ties during the search.
This story is so weird.
Yeah, it really is. I was unaware of everything that was happening in the media while I was away, and I'm still processing it all, she said. I kindly ask for respect for myself, my family, and my loved ones as I navigate through this challenging time. Thank you for your understanding. Well, a January 6th rioter tried to join the Russian military to fight against Ukraine. A man on probation for his role in the January 6th attack attempted to flee the country and volunteer for the Russian military's fight against Ukraine.
What?
Yeah. Quote, his intent was not a temporary trip. He intended to permanently relocate to another country. According to prosecutors, they wrote that in the charging documents. It's a 6-page memo to the U.S. district judge, and it continues. His planned travel was for the express purpose of joining a foreign army to take up arms against one of the country's allies and in opposition to this country's foreign policy. Prosecutors say that this guy, Kevin Loftus, should get a 6-month jail sentence, the maximum that he could have faced for his misdemeanor crime at the Capitol. And they want him to serve every day of it. It's a bizarre twist in an otherwise normal case stemming from the riot on January 6th, when thousands of supporters, of course, took over the Capitol grounds to impede the transfer of power from Trump to Biden. He was an active duty soldier in the U.S. Army for 6 years. So he pleaded guilty to a single misdemeanor count of parading in the Capitol. He admitted, and then he was sentenced to 3 years of probation. Prosecutors say that when he tried to check into a flight from Dallas to, Tbilisi, Georgia, he was blocked when Turkish Airlines received a security flag. 2 days later, he drove hundreds of miles north of the Dallas area without following court-ordered procedures to seek permission before leaving northern Texas. He was then arrested in Iowa on October 31st. And he admitted from Georgia to Russia, where he planned to seek temporary residency. He said he'd already sent $1,200 to help purchase equipment for Russian soldiers. Pretty wild. A review of his phone by the FBI showed that he'd been communicating on Telegram with an account under the moniker Grisha Putin, which was advising him on how to travel to Russia. And he was discussing taking a Russian language class and wanted asylum and also looking for a focus on artillery.
Okay,
classes
question.
in artillery as well.
Is it, maybe I'm naive in not knowing the law on this because I really have no desire to do it anyway, but is it against the law to fight for another country besides America? You can't, is there some type of,
I think that in this case you're fighting against an American ally, and it may come down to that. Like if you wanted to be, there are many Americans who are mercenary soldiers,
Sure.
And so I suspect that if you're a mercenary soldier, you can fight wherever. But if you're fighting against American forces or American interests, maybe that's where the shoe pinches.
You got a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, he's not the first January 6th defendant to try to flee the country. I mean, that's been happened. The FBI repeatedly sought help in grabbing those who have been trying to leave the country after the J6 conviction. So with that, we conclude Law and Disorder.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.